Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ash coming at you again for another great video. So, today I'm going to be talking about how to manage your income so you always have money in the bank. So, if you have a piece of paper, I want you to take this down. So, imagine back about 10 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, depends on how long you've been over 18 and you've been working. So, let's go back on the number of years you've been working, and I want you to write down the total income you've made working in a job or working in a business, whatever that number is, over the last working years of your life. So let's just, for example, take 10 years. So let's say in the last 10 years, I want you to write down what do you think you brought in over the last 10 years working in whatever you're doing, it was a business, whatever. So let's just say it was 40,000 a year or 50,000 a year. Multiply 50,000 a year by 10. That's $500,000 that you have brought in over the last 10 years. This is just an example. Now, what I want you to think about is this is that we all have expenses to pay, right? There's a great book that came out that called The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, wrote many years ago. And what he wrote in that book is live on 70% of your income. Now, this was back then, we're probably looking at about close to 80, 70 years ago, something like that. But today, it's hard to live off even 80 or 90% of your income because of all the expenses that we have today, and certainly inflation. Right? So let's say you could live off of 90% of your income over the last 10 years. Just want you to look at this number. I want you to see what's going to happen. Then I'm going to talk about the next 10 years and how you'll always have money in the bank. So if you were to, let's say in the last 10 years, live off 90% of your income and you made $500,000, like we just talked about, right? $500,000. What is 90% of that? Well, let's say 10% of that. That's $50,000 that you should have had saved on the side somewhere. Now, how do you do this? Well, it's very simple. Every time you get a paycheck or every time you have somebody give you any money, you act as if they only paid you 90% of that amount, whatever that is. It's hard for you to understand this, but just imagine if you pick up a dollar off the floor, it's actually 90 cents you picked up. Somebody gives you $1,000, it's actually they gave you $900. If you have that type of a mindset, and what you do and you pretend is you have that 10% of that amount that you brought in, put it off to the side. Act as if you didn't even make that kind of money, that extra 10%. You live off the 90% of your income. What this does is called predetermined profit. If you predetermine the income you're going to make, you pay yourself first. You pay your business first. You pay your family first. That goes into an account that you don't touch. And what happens is you become more disciplined. You're going to be spending money on the right things because you, instead of making that 10,000 a month you were making, you're now making 9,000 a month. That doesn't mean you're shortchanging yourself. It's just that extra 10%, or if you want to start with 5%, if it's really tight for you, take that 10% or 5%, boom, move it off to the side, put it in a different account, and don't touch it. Leave it for an opportunity that you may want to invest in. Leave it for a rainy day, whatever the case. And what that does is this: when you have money in the bank that you are storing away, okay, it actually improves your mindset. You become abundance mindset because you always have money. When you think from a place that you always have money in the bank, your attitude changes. And guess what? Your confidence goes up. And when your confidence goes up, you do your job better. You are not stressed out. You know that there's money available, but you got to be careful not to touch that money unless it's crucial. It's a matter of life and death. You need to pull that money out. That's the only time you do it. All right. Or you know deep down inside that there's an opportunity you could use some of that money to double or triple it. Okay. And that's called, seeking the right opportunity. We'll talk about that in other videos that's coming. But what I want you to do is just think about it. In the next 10 years, if you didn't do anything except the income that you're making right now and take 10% off the top, move it off to the side, and live on 90% of your income. Start with 95% in the first six months. Then as you get good at saving those 5%, guess what happens? You're going to go up to 10%. And eventually, as you start controlling your cost and you get better at your job, your income starts to go up because you're doing a better job at your job, at your workplace, or in the business that you're in. You're managing your cash flow. It's called predetermined profit. You predetermine your profit and you pay yourself first. then all the other expenses behind it. So if you break down all your expenses, take a piece of paper, write down from your highest monthly expense that you have to the lowest. So your highest might be your mortgage or your rent, whatever that is. Then it goes down to your grocery bill or insurance cost. Break it down. That's what you pay from the 90% of your income. So I hope that makes sense to you. Make sure you subscribe and share this video and hit the like button because I'm going to be sending you more videos as we go. Have a great day. This is Ash signing off.